So, welcome to our Joy of Having a Body. And we have a few people on a Zoom. Some people are going to be on Facebook Live. And with all of that, this is kind of like introductory Zoom. So, I'm not sure how many of you had Access Consciousness before, but this Zoom is based on Access Consciousness tools. And you can find out more on accessconsciousness.com webpage. It was created by Gary Douglas and co-founded with Dr. Dane Hare. With all of that, I might or might not use clearing statement. For you guys who are new to Access, this is a magic phrase that is just pretty much clears anything. That's how I look at it. Totally clears everything and anything. And let's think about having a body. First of all, I'm a medical doctor by profession. I was born in Russia and came to America when I was a kid. Went to University of Illinois in Chicago, then went to medical school, residency, all of that to become a family physician. After that, practiced for 10 years and then ended up with open heart surgery. Almost died, and that actually created uh, thank you, Rebecca. Uh, that created a totally different outlook and relationship with the body. Because I was very close to losing my body and pretty much becoming an entity, a ghost, go to the better world or whatever you call it. Heaven, hell, I don't believe in those. So, not sure. Reincarnate, you name it, I might have gone there. With that, I still try to go back to medicine and complication after complication, a lot of pain. I was searching for different ways of helping myself with my body. One of them was pretty much Akashic Records and then Access Consciousness about 9 years ago. Very first bars class totally shifted everything for me. It created so much ease in my body. And if you never had your bars run, please find a practitioner or a class and just get there. It's 32 points on the head, which takes away a lot of pain, a lot of things. And with that, it shifts a lot in our bodies. And then, of course, I found out that it's oh, um, it created a different reality for me. After that, taking foundation, body classes, everything gave a little bit more of me to me. I was asked to do this free Zoom, kind of talking a little bit about body processes, about bodies, how it relates. It is a commercial, but it's not. I'd like to play with the tools and to see where you are, what you require to shift and change your relationship with the body and having a little bit more joy of and with the body. And because it is your Zoom, you can ask any questions. You can type them in the chat or you can unmute yourself. I believe this is very informal and you can just press that microphone and go on and ask the questions. We are playing here. Nothing is serious. And a lot of people look at the body as something very serious, something that they have to manage, make it the way they decided the body have to be, fighting the body, either feeding the body certain food, like according to nutritional pyramid, or certain nutrition facts, or exercising those kind of like certain muscles that we decide we have to exercise, we have to push ourselves. All of those have to and should a lot of times stem from judgment. How many judgments you've put on your body in the moment? Just for a second, close your eyes. And what are your judgments of your body in this 10 seconds? Wow, a lot of the judgments. Yeah, for me came up maybe aging, maybe wrinkles, maybe something else. It doesn't matter what the judgments are. What the judgments are doing, they're limiting our receiving. They're limiting what the body can be. Because when we have a certain judgment, nothing that does not meet that judgment is not like that judgment, does not equal to this judgment, cannot even come into our universe. We cannot even perceive it, let alone create that. Any possibility of different reality with our body cannot come in when we have so many judgments. So I am going to use a clearing statement. So if you have any questions, it's a weird phrase, right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And you can find out more by going to a web page, theclearingstatement.com. And back, if you can put it in the chat so people can go and find out more about the clearing statement. With that, would you destroy and uncreate? Maybe at least, I know 100% of your judgments, I'm not even going for that. Maybe 1% of your judgments of your body. Would you be willing to let go of that? 1% of all the judgments you have in your body, about your body, with your body. Thank you. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. What if you didn't have to judge your body? And by the way, there is a marvelous tool. It's very new tool in Access. I'm just joking. I'm being sarcastic. That tool is light and heavy. Anything that's true for you is going to be light or expanding, feeling amazing. And anything that is a lie will be heavy and constricting, contracting. So with all of that, when we be that, and if we are true for ourselves, everything will be light. What is light? Joy, happiness, being totally in that space of receiving. And when somebody lying to us, when they're lying to ourselves, when we're judging, that's usually heavy. So what we are going to be doing, we are going to be taking all that heavy stuff, which is judgment, which is lies, and destroying them. Or uncreating them, meaning that we just never have them. I know, sounds like magic, and it does. What if we are magical? What if we are more than we think we are? How much more can we create in the world if we choose to be all of us? So would you allow yourself to let go at least 1% of your judgment? Just 1%. Thank you. Right and wrong, good and bad, fuck and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Whew. How about 5% of your judgments? Nah, 2%. Right and wrong, good and bad, fuck and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And you can play with that, bringing up the judgments of your body and letting them go anytime. I don't have to be there asking you that. So let's say you're looking in the mirror and the judgment comes in. And by the way, judgment doesn't have to be bad, it can be good. A lot of times, the good judgments are limiting us more. So, and then you can say just puck and pot, which is point of creation and point of destruction, by the way. The whole phrase, right and wrong, good and bad, puck and pot, all nine shorts, point, means pretty much a short speak for different energies. Puck is point of creation, pot is point of destruction. And when we say those two words, puck and pot, a lot of times it's enough to clear a lot of things. A lot of times I find myself, and we had a lot of conversation in the last few days about receiving with our body. The topic of today is joy of having a body. With all of that, it's joy of having a body. Just think of that. When was the last time you enjoyed your body? I'm going way to childhood. When I was maybe 5 years old or 4 years old, and I was running in the rain, kind of like playing with the puddles and running, just happy. Connect to that feeling. Connect to that joy of embodiment when you were kids. Now, bring that into your body right now. How different your body feels when you do that. And everything that doesn't allow you to be and do that, will you destroy and uncreate that? Right and wrong, good and bad, puck and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And I just got another one, because how many of you think of joy as not allowed? Joy as being beyond something, or you have to deserve it, or you have to do something. What if it's just that? Just like a kid playing in the puddles, or running in the rain, or just playing in the ocean, swimming in the ocean, walking in the woods, and connecting with Earth. Earth is pretty much just like our bodies, and it's about connection to the physical world. Because our being, our soul, it's just is. It's energy. Can the soul enjoy food? Only through the body. Body eats, body sleeps, body wears clothes, body actually feels. Being is sensing. All the feelings, all the emotions, this is all part of the body makeup. It's the physical sensations, physical interaction with body and the planet, body and other bodies. Having sex, having orgasm. This is all joy of body, joy of embodiment, joy of having a body. How many of you totally ignore the body and not having joy with the body? Or at least not 100% of the time.
You know, Helen, a question is occurring to me. I've plucked it out of someone's head, I think. How do you have the joy of your body when you have chronic pain issues?
Cool. I'm glad you brought it up. Let's talk about what is pain, truly. Because a lot of pain has been misidentified. Pain is actually nerve cells, receptors firing so intensely that we interpret it as pain. Intense orgasm can feel like pain. Anything intense feels like pain. Body communicates in energy through the nerve cells firing those chemicals. And being a doctor, I know. And so what happens first, the body tries to tell us something. Okay, maybe we need to do something. Maybe we need to change something. Maybe there is something wrong with the body, and body is telling us, okay, pay attention here. In the beginning, it's just a little something, maybe an itch, maybe discomfort. We ignore it. And then the intensity goes up because we're ignoring it. The dial goes up. Next thing, we might feel a little twinge of something, maybe a little, again, discomfort, maybe starting to get into the pain range. We either ignore it or go to the doctor, and the doctor diagnoses us, or maybe cannot even find anything. And then we try to find out what it is, we judge it as something, or we get a diagnosis and we create more of that. So the pain goes up because we didn't take care of that, whatever that body was telling us. And I'll come to that, what the body trying to communicate to us. And then eventually it goes to pain. And sometimes so severe that we cannot even function. But the body a lot of times tells us something that might not be even ours. It might be telling us that somebody else has that pain. And all we need to do is pay attention, maybe send some energy, but we ignore it. And now the person is in chronic pain. Instead of like judging it as a chronic pain, what we can do a lot of times is ask, body, what is that? What do I do with it? Can I change it? And if yes, how can I change it? And a lot of times, even by asking those questions, the pain can subside, where we can, maybe to a certain level, where we can deal with that. But also, I remember when I was in severe pain, I had a lot of chronic pain. I had chronic fatigue, I had fibromyalgia. And every time I ask Gary or Dane, what do I do with it? And they say, enjoy it. I did not get that in the beginning. And I'm like, what do you mean enjoy pain? I don't like it. It's painful. It hurts. Blah, 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 blah. No. And then one day I'm like, you know what? I'll listen to them. I'll enjoy my pain. I'll go into the pain and I'll just give in completely to that sensation. As soon as I did that, it actually turned around and it was almost orgasmic in some way. And the pain subsided. And I'm like, okay, so that's what it means to enjoy pain. And now I started asking, okay, who does it belong to? What is that? What do I do with it? Can I change it? And it started shifting and changing. But it actually was changing even before with body processes. A lot of like my fibromyalgia even disappeared with the body classes. Just by somebody putting hands on the body, it started changing it. And yet I was resisting to pain still. And the more I resisted, the more it would come back. I would go to the body class, would come out completely normal. And with that, I would start, oh, it does not hurt. And then I'm like, okay, is it still there? Oh, yeah, it's still there. But I don't want my pain. I don't kind of like, and then I started resisting to that, so it came more. Instead of asking, okay, body, what do you require here? Who does it belong to? What can we create together? What are the infinite possibilities? Because the more we go into conclusion what it is, the more it persists. The more it's not allowing us to change. Because remember, I started with if we have a judgment, nothing that doesn't match that judgment can come in. So if we have a judgment, we have chronic pain. Guess what happens? Nothing that doesn't match, I have chronic pain can come in. So any possibility of enjoyment or joy with the body, any ease with the body, anything that is different with the body, we cannot even perceive, let alone receive. So everything that's coming up right now and all the judgment of yourself that you're putting on yourself right now for not listening to your body, will you destroy and uncreate that now? Right and wrong, good and bad, PAC and PAT, all nine short spoon means. What if it is as simple as, okay, I've been a bitch to my body. I neglected my body or I abused my body. Fine, that was in the past. What am I choosing now? Body, what can we create together now? And any conclusions or computation you have with the body, about the body, all the diagnosis you received, that's not even yours. Would you return it back and destroy and uncreate everything you bought, everything you've created with that? Thank you. Right and wrong, good and bad, PAC and PAT, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And whose lies, what lies, and how many lies are you actually holding on to? Not to have joy of the body. Everything that is, we destroy and uncreate that. Right and wrong, good and bad, PAC and PAT, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So with all of that, how does your body feel right now? Any different? And please don't look for the pain. And just allow yourself to be with the body. Yeah, relaxed. Thank you, Paul. And what if it's just by asking questions, we can change our relationship with the body and have the joy of body, the joy of embodiment. And again, can you actually have a joy of this physical reality without the body? When I was going through surgery, I was ready to kind of leave the planet. And I had out of body experience where it was bliss. It was like total unimaginable joy, the oneness and everything else connected to that. And I remember one day, I was in severe pain at that time, and I'm like, I don't want to be here because so much pain, so much suffering now. I'm done. It was way before Access. I didn't have the tools of asking who does it belong to and asking what my body needed. Body was trying to communicate with me, but I ignored it. And I remember being outside. Um, at that time, I was in an apartment building where there was a little patio, where there was a little man-made waterfall, tiny, but it was beautiful outside. The weather was wonderful. And suddenly I was able to connect with earth, connect with nature. I was alone. There was nobody outside but me. I guess neighbors were out working. I couldn't work at that time. And suddenly that beauty around me, that kind of like everything was, I suddenly connected with everything. And I'm like, wait a second. And I'm choosing pain and suffering for what reason? It wasn't that exactly the question, but it was like, wait a second, the pain doesn't work for me anymore. So that's when I started searching for a different possibility. I was going through different modalities, different techniques, spirituality, became Reiki master. I mean, you name it, I've tried it. And at a certain point, it was like, okay, especially with access tools, it's like, what am I going to choose with my body? Am I going to enjoy my body? Or am I going to continue suffer like everybody else? Because part of suffering is actually being connected to everybody else. A lot of times when I talk to my friends and they are kind of like, all they're talking about, or at least majority of them, about the problems, what problems they have, what illnesses they have, about now with COVID, all those restrictions, trauma and drama of this reality, instead of talking about what creates more, asking more questions instead of being in conclusion, kind of like looking what else is possible, what can we create on this planet, with this planet, what can we create with our bodies, because body is about our life in this physical world. Body is about money, body is about having clothes, food, house, cars. This is all physical reality. This is all about enjoying the body, not suffering. If you ever ask consciousness, what is the purpose of life? It's always the same answer. To have fun, to enjoy life, to enjoy the body. So how much are we unwilling to be that? And especially with the planet. Right now, with everything that's going on, all those anger, shame, blame, regret, all the kind of fear that's going on in the world and perpetuated by the governments, real or perceived, fear is actually false evidence appear real, but a lot of people are afraid. And that's what's killing the planet, and that's what's killing our body. Let's talk about the body. When we are in fear, anger, any of those emotions, our body produces certain hormones, adrenaline, cortisol, and it starts destroying the cells, destroying the organs, especially if the body is exposed to high level of those hormones constantly. when we are in a joyful state, having fun, body produces endorphins, which is kind of like a healthy variation of heroin. It's a happy hormone. The endorphins, the oxytocin, it's what produced by women when they are having a baby. All of those happy hormones are very healing to the body. When a woman gives birth to a child, oxytocin, the hormone of birth and milk and all of that, it's a happy hormone, kind of like that creates a binding or bounding, like that bound the infant to the mother. Not sure I'm pronouncing it correctly, but and that also helps to heal everything that was going on with birth. Because I remember I had a C-section with my child, and normally when the abdomen is cut, it takes about 6 to 8 weeks to heal. Within 4 days, there was barely any scar left because of all those happy hormones that's produced. So how much, how do we eliminate fear? Thank you for that question. So what if instead of eliminating fear and resisting fear, we actually embrace it and melt it? And Paul, so let's look at our fear, because everybody has some sort of fear. Look at it, imagine it as a balloon. Air balloon, doesn't matter what size. And now start blowing it up. Bring more fear into that balloon. Expand that fear. Look at that fear and make it bigger. Not you, just a balloon, like your fear, that emotion. Make it bigger. Make it about maybe a meter or a yard in diameter. Now make it maybe 100 yards. Make it a mile in diameter. Make it as huge as possible, 1,000 miles in diameter. Is it still there, or did the balloon blow up? And Paul, you can unmute yourself so we can talk. Can't find you there. Like, Paul, if you'd like to talk.
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
A second.
So is the balloon still there?
The balloon is still there.
Okay, how big did you make it?
1 mile.
Make it 10 miles. Is it still there?
No, it can't exist.
Exactly. Because fear is always a lie. And that's how you know what's true or not. Light and heavy is one way of looking at what's true, what's a lie. A lot of times by expanding things, we know what's true or not. If it's a lie, when you expand it to a certain size, it disappears. It's non-existent. When it's true and real, it's not going to disappear. It will get bigger. And so a lot of times we misidentify, misapply fear as excitement and excitement as fear. That's when the excitement will get bigger. The fear will not. That's how you will eliminate fear. How do you feel right now with a balloon disappearing?
Much better.
Yeah.
Lighter.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Wow, time flies. We have a
Mm.
lot of things to talk about, but it's like, oh, 12:37. But anyway,
You can type in the chat if you want, and I'll read it out loud if you're shy or in a place where you don't have privacy to talk also.
yeah, and we can play with any questions. And a lot of feelings and emotions, majority of them are lies. And why do I say that? There is an emotional scale, and all the thoughts, feelings, and emotions are very low vibration. They're pretty much solidifications. They're and by feelings, like people ask me, what about happiness? What about joy? Joy and happiness are not feelings, by the way. There is such a huge misconception that joy is a feeling. No, joy is a space of being where we are actually being us. And when we finally can be in communion with our body, that's the joy of having a body. When we ignore the body, when we not letting our body be, that's when we start falling off that vibrations of space into the emotional and feeling vibration. And the difference is huge. Feelings might be between 5, 10, 20, 25, 30, 50, maybe 100 megahertz or whatever the measuring scale. Joy, love, healing, they're in 500, 700, 1,000 range of megahertz. That's why it's such an expansion when we are in being joy, in being that space of joy, especially with the body. Have you ever been, let's say, in nature where it was just a communion, where you can feel the wind on your skin, when you literally could hear the leaves on the tree talking to you? Let's play a little bit. And oh, there is a question. Not. I have.
W369 has their hand up, and then there's a couple of questions in the chat.
Cool. So let's start with the hand up. So
Okay, W, unmute yourself.
yeah. And I can hopefully find you, W368.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Hi. Okay.
Well, maybe while I figure out how to unmute, do you want to
Yeah,
take one of the questions from the chat?
Sure.
Oh,
Let's do that.
okay. All right, W369, let us know when you're live. So Joanne asked, what about, oh no, there she is. They are.
Oh, okay. Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Doing good. What's your name?
Bertula. I know
Hi.
it's hard name.
Yeah.
I have question. All my life is okay. Everything it's perfect except one thing. I don't know what should I do with it.
What one thing?
I studied a lot of things. I studied Reiki, Theta.
Yeah, but what is one thing that's not in harmony?
I don't have customer. I don't know why.
Ah.
Yeah. If I'm doing any course or any session for free, there are 1,000 people come to me. But when I say $10, no one come. No one.
Yeah. So how much are you actually willing to receive with your body?
A lot.
Are you willing or are you resisting to receive?
I'm resistant.
Yeah. A lot of times it's a little bit more than this Zoom. So it's either like a lot of times with that, that's a huge question.
Mhm.
It's actually not just one thing. There is a lot of things that tag along because there is issue with money, with relationship with yourself, intimacy and judgments. So there is a lot. So it's might be good for the private session or for the class. Let's say bars class, foundation, and we deal a lot in foundation and in the body class in choice of possibilities. Like those classes are wonderful for that type of question.
I already took foundation 2 times, global foundation. I'm almost CF, but I'm still
Cool.
have this problem. I asked many questions. I did many things, but I'm still
And how
suffering.
much are you actually willing to shift that truth? Yeah, that right there. Would you be
Yeah,
willing to let go of that?
yeah.
Right on with the Atakpat online truth movements. And that's interesting. I'm glad you brought it up because a lot of times we do a lot of clearings, we do a lot of work, a lot of classes, and it's not changing.
Yeah,
And underneath, there is that, I'm being sarcastic, a little thing, but it's not a little thing, it's a huge thing of not choosing. And the choice always supersedes any clearing. Unless we choose more for us, unless we choose to let go of the barriers to receiving, it's not going to change. And especially with the body. Body is usually about receiving. Body is about changing and shifting with the clients, with money, with everything. A lot of times, as simple as asking, body, what would it take for us to change this? And listening to the body. And sometimes it's not logical. A lot of times it's not logical. I remember when I asked that question of my body, and I had similar issue with signing up for a class. And body says, let's clean out the closet. And I'm like, what? And I was supposed to go someplace and meet with somebody. It's like, no, postpone the meeting and clean the closet. And I'm like, really? And it felt so light. And I cleaned out the closet. Well, I spent like an hour. I still met with the person, but the meeting was totally different. I was in a totally different space. What if by the virtue of shifting and changing something else in our lives, something else changes? And it's not logical. And I'm very grateful for the question. And it's all about the choice, because it's not about the facilitator. It's not about the class. It's about us choosing more of receiving, of having intimacy with the body, having communion with the body, and not having barriers, not to ourselves and not to receiving. And I'm sorry, I lost our question. Yeah.
thank you so much.
No, thank you for that question. And the other thing is about really looking at, I don't have paying clients. Is it the question or is it the conclusion?
Conclusion. Yes.
Yeah. So when we have the conclusion and the judgment, remember I started with that, nothing that doesn't match that can come in. So how much of even that judgment limits your receiving and having the clients?
Ye- Um, I can see there's fears inside my body. I don't know why, but when somebody come to me and ask me, I want to be with you in this course, blah, 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 I just feel afraid to continue and do it and make it real.
Yeah.
I just keep talking with them, but I feel some fear in my body.
Is it fear or excitement? Just what I asked Paul. Is it the fear or excitement?
Excitement.
Yeah.
Come-
So
Ah.
every time when you misidentified fear as excitement, you limit yourself again.
Wow.
Yeah.
And also, I don't have problem with money. I can get money, but I I couldn't get customers or clients.
Cool. So what if it's not required? Yeah, this is much bigger than this Zoom. I'm grateful and I hope I see you in one of my classes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we have just a little bit more left, maybe another 5 minutes. Don't
So
see.
Joanne wanted to ask, what about getting diabetes later in life and controlling the sugar numbers with ease?
Just enjoying it. How sweet are you? And what if it's about acknowledging who you are and asking your body what it requires to change it? It's literally about communion with the body. And again, I'm going to invite you to start, instead of concluding and judging, okay, this is a diabetes, and how can I control it with ease? Because how is still means a modality, and it's still a conclusion and a judgment. What if instead you might ask questions like, is the diabetes mine? Am I healing somebody? Because we are very cute with taking things out of other people's body. There is an amazing book that Dr. Dane, the founder of Access, wrote. It's a body whispering. Highly recommend that book. And also embodiment. It talks about a lot of tools that can change a lot of things. And I'm very grateful for all those questions that we had today and for everywhere where you were willing to go. And I have to jump on another Zoom in about 7 minutes. So grateful. And I hope to see you in person someday or on a different Zoom. And that will conclude our, and by the way, we have an amazing class in Asheville that's coming up, 3-day body class. And Rebecca, you can talk a little bit more where it is, what it is.
Yeah, I would love to. So, I loved everybody's questions. For me, for a long time, I thought the only way to actually have my being was to not have my body. My body was here and the rest of me was somewhere over here. And starting with bars and other things, I've really come into appreciating and being with my body. So 3-day body class, there are 60 different processes that Access has recorded and put into the manual for this class. There's another bunch of processes in advance. And it's basically, we spend 3 days nurturing our own bodies and each other's bodies with these amazing energy processes that can help us change anything from places where we have poor health, poor fitness, overweight. All of that can be changed when we start to interact with the energy. And if you want to come, Asheville is beautiful this time of year, and we have a lovely space downtown. So you can get in touch with me or Dr. Helen through the Access website. And happy to tell you more. But the class is the 26th, 27th, and 28th of August here in Asheville. And if you need the prerequisites like a bars class or a foundation, we can help you find those as well. And come play with us. I want to get my hands on
Absolutely,
you.
yeah. And I just saw another question. I have some weight issues. I'm not overweight, but it's hard for me to accept my 10 pounds extra weight. And that's actually, and you had the bars class, which is wonderful. It's not about making the body change. It's asking what the body is required. It's not about clearing. It's asking what does the body would like to look like and playing with that. And also there is going to be a Being You one-day class with that I'm co-facilitating with Rachel Silver this coming weekend, Friday and Saturday, and you can find it on the website. And if you'd, because some of you signed up for the class, you will end up on my emailing list and you'll get the newsletters with everything that's going on with me around the world. And if you don't want to be on that, you can always unsubscribe. So grateful. Thank you so much. And I'm getting off Facebook and stop recording.